So I first want to ask you about the band regrouping. 2020 starts in a big way where you've got some gigs in the Northeast, you're playing a big cruise, and you got a tour of Japan. How long did
Right.
all that take to come together?
Well, in the beginning, in 2016, I put a solo album out, Punky Meadows, Fallen Angel, and it did really, really well. And it charted on the Billboard charts. And then we toured behind that. Danny and I, my partner Danny Farrow, and then we decided, and Frank also had a solo album out about a year, I think it was 2015, I guess, and he did pretty good with that too. So we toured behind my solo thing for a couple of years, and then the fans were dying to hear an Angel, to reunite, and so. We talked to Frank. We thought it would be a good idea. Let's go out on tour. It'd be Punky Meadows and Frank Domino of Angel and see how that works out. We went on tour and it did really, really well. We toured the UK, Scotland, and all over the United States, and it did really well. So then we decided we'll call the band Angel, and this was last year. And we'll go back into white again. It won't be Punky Meadows and Frank Domino band. It'll be Angel. And then we got a record deal with Casablanca Records, and so they're a really good record company. And so we recorded the album. And when we toured as Angel before we put the album out, it went great too. Again, we toured the UK and Belgium and all the United States. We just did a short Northeast tour, and then we did a West Coast tour too. And we played some shows with Ace Frehley and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so we were behind, and the album came out, and the album's just doing great. It charted on 4 Billboard charts as well, and it's getting rave reviews all over the world. Everybody thinks it's great, and so we know it now. We have the Rock Cruise coming up next, and then Japan in April, and then of course we'll do another a tour of the Northeast and the Southeast and the Midwest, all over there, and then go to the West Coast again. We tour in the spring and summer and fall when we do our touring, but we did a couple of shows this past this in December here, just for some quick shows at Northeast. But everything's been great. The band's well received. Everybody loves us. I mean, we go out there and we kick ass. You know what I mean? The band looks great, and the album's sounding great, and so fans are loving it. Anybody that goes to our shows, they just come back saying they were blown away. And so, I mean, we can play for 10,000 people or 100 people, and you're still going to get the same show we put out. I mean, because we love playing and we love our fans, and we want to give people what they deserve. So. And like I said, Frank and Danny and I talked about doing the Angel thing, and it just seemed like the next phase to do the next step up from our solo things, and it's been really well received.
And you just have so much going on in the first quarter of 2020, more than a lot of bands kind of plan for the year. Is the plan to keep Angel a semi-full-time thing for the near future?
Oh yeah, I mean, we'll do this till we croak. I mean, because we all love playing, and the Angel fans they're great fans. They've just been fierce. The Angel fans they're the biggest, most loyal fans ever, and so as long as they want to come and see us, we'll keep playing, and like I said, we all love playing so much. I was retired from the music business for many years because I just got kind of disenchanted with it back in the late 80s, early 90s. And I left the music business altogether and started my own businesses and did really well with that. But then I retired, what was it, like in 2005, I think it was. And then I got that solo deal in 2015, and I started playing again, and I just, that's where I left off, And this band, Angel, now, I mean, the album, I don't know if you heard the album. The album, has a classic rock feel, but it still has a modern feel as well to it, And the band is playing better than ever. I mean, so it's just been going uphill, and it's been great. We're having a blast.
A lot of people, of course, first learned about Angel because of the association with the band Kiss, and ultimately you grew your own fan base, and people are Angel fans on their own right. But looking back at everything, do you have fond memories of Casablanca Records and working with Kiss and all that, or do you just not think about the past much?
Oh, no, of course I think about the past. I mean, Casablanca was a great record company. When we first went out, well, I don't know if you know the story about Kiss seeing us in a small nightclub in Washington, D.C. Have you heard that story?
I've heard it, but we could move on from that. That's fine. Up to you.
Okay, well, anyway, so Kiss, we just put Angel together, and we were playing in Washington, D.C. at this club called Bogies, and Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley Nace came in one night. They were playing at the Capitol Center in D.C., and they saw us, and they thought we were just phenomenal. Thought we were great. And so anyway, then we started showcasing ourselves for managers, and we started a bidding war in D.C., and we finally signed with Toby Management and went out to L.A., and we were shopping a record deal out there, and our manager said, there's this new company called Casablanca, Neil Bogart. It's just a brand new record company, and we might want to look into that because they're a smaller company and they're just starting out, but they'll put all their efforts into you guys, unlike Capitol, where you'd be amongst a million other artists. You know what I mean? So our manager gave Neil Bogart from Casablanca a call and said, hey, I've got this band Angel. Kiss saw them and thinks they're really great, and I'd like to, we'd like to, audition for you and see, and think about, and see if we can get a record deal or whatever. And so Neil said, I'll tell you what, let me call Gene and I'll call you back. And he said, well, first he said, you know what I can do? I can, the Kiss are playing at the Anaheim Stadium in a couple of weeks. I can put Angel as an opening act on them, then I can see them and see what I think, He said, let me call Gene and see what I can do. So he calls back about 5 minutes later. He goes, I'll tell you what, I'll sign the band sight unseen because Gene Simmons says, under no circumstances will Angel ever open up for Kiss. So, in other words, Gene was, just said, he feel a bit threatened. But anyway, so we went and auditioned for Neil anyway, and he loved the band. He signed us up. And Neil was great, because they were struggling at first, and then the Donna Summer thing came out, and then finally Kiss Alive broke, wide open. And then Neil Bogart became like the golden boy of Hollywood after that, and the company got big. And Neil was a great guy because he was really into the music. We would record the album, and then we would go in his office and we would smoke a joint, and light up, and he'd play the album. And he would just get so into it, and they were so supportive of us, behind us 100% all the way. And so I can't say enough about Neil Bogart and Casablanca. They were a great company, and they were pioneering, jazz. Were all the bands from the 70s. We were all pioneers kind of the sound. Unlike now, it's pretty much a rehash of what was already, pioneered back then, people just playing faster or whatever, louder. But Casablanca was great. And Kiss, they're friends of mine. They, and Gene asked me to play with Kiss when they were auditioning guitar players when Ace left, and they auditioned guitar players. And that's another story that's, kind of a legend story, I guess you want to call it, where they, felt that I turned them down when I actually didn't turn Kiss down. But I went down and actually played with them, sat in with them, because Gene asked me to learn one side of the Kiss, any side of the Kiss album, and to come in. I'd come down to SIR where they were rehearsing and sit in, and so I sat in with them, and they loved it, and they said, well, and Gene took me to the side and said, well, let's talk some business. And I said, well, Gene, I'm with Greg Jafria right now. We're kind of, shopping a deal. And apparently I just insulted Gene so bad that he got up and said, come on, Paul, let's go, and they left. So I went back home, and then Barry Levine, who was at the record plant with Paul and Gene, called me and said, what'd you do? And I said, what do you mean? He said, Paul and Gene came back with their jaws to the floor and said, no one's ever turned down Kiss. And I said, well, I didn't turn them down. I just said I was chopping a deal. I had to think about it or whatever. And so anyway, that's how that story went. But we were great friends with those guys, and I'm still friends with them. I mean, they were highly supportive of us. And of course we love them too. Kiss was great. So.
Well, it sounds like everyone and everything worked out for the better, and of course Neil Bogart's legacy is continued on with his son Evan being a songwriter and producer that's successful in his own right. So, looking ahead at where you are now, is there something from the Angel legacy that you're most proud of?
Oh, well, let me think. I mean, I'm proud of Angel, of everything we did. I think, like I said, we were pioneering new sounds back then and stuff. Back in the 70s, the bands were very diversified. I mean, Queen had their sound, Aerosmith had their sound, Styx had their sound, Nugent had their sound, Angel had their sound, Kiss had their sound. Unlike in the 80s when it was all, that kind of, every band pretty much sounded the same. It was all anthem rock, and every guitar player was just tapping on the neck, and it was over-processed and that sort of thing. So I'm proud of the fact that, we pioneered a lot of stuff back then, and and that the band, you know, was on the road all the time, and we at one time we were one of the biggest bands in Japan during that day. Kiss, Aerosmith, Queen, Cheap Trick, and Angel were the biggest bands in Japan, and we went over there. It was like Beatlemania, so that was a lot of fun. It was crazy, and just, you know, I'm proud of it, you know, the way the band also progressed. You know, from our first album, we were more of a progressive type of band until we actually got on and got, you know, more commercial sounding. The thing about Angel, what I like about Angel, I think the most, is that we were never a one-trick pony, and our new album shows that too. You know, a lot of bands, you hear the first song on the album, and you've heard all the songs basically. It's just different lyrics, whatever. But Angel had a lot of diversity in our albums, our records. You know, we could do just about anything pretty much, and our new album shows that too. It's very diverse. Every song's, you know, really, really great. It kicks ass. It's commercial. You can sing along with it, and at the same time, it kicks ass, and it's progressive too. And so I'm proud of that. That, you know, we weren't just a one-trick pony. That, you know, we were able to, you know, because we all grew up. I grew up playing in bands that had, you know, in bands that had to play everything from Motown to country to rock and roll to the British Invasion to everything, you know. So I grew up playing all, and I loved blues. I mean, I cut my teeth on all the British blues players, you know what I mean? So I like all types of music, and it comes across that way. And the Angel stuff, especially the new album, shows a lot of that stuff too. Which is, the album's great. You got to check it out.
So, in closing, Punky, any last words for the kids?
Yeah, okay. I'd like to say, hey, to all you rock and rollers out there, Punky Meadows, you know, we love you guys. The fans are great, you know, and thank you for all your support. And we hope to see you in a town near you somewhere. We'll be on tour, you know, all in 2020, and we're going to be out there, you know, kicking ass and the whole thing. And we hope you come and see us. And Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and all that kind of good stuff.